it's not about choice. It's about what this institution, marriage is an institution, and what is it, and what purpose does it serve?
I think the West have become a gravesite for tradition. So in his book, Understanding the Purpose and Power of Women, Miles Monroe wrote, when the purpose of a thing is unknown, abuse is inevitable. And I think as we advance in society, in science, in technology, and in our willingness to be, caring and accepting, I think as we are doing all these things, we've lost, forgotten, or even just completely disregarded the purpose of various foundational institutions of society. And I think one of those institutions is marriage. Like, what exactly is marriage these days? Does this institution still have any relevance? Is it still necessary? Should we still try to uphold the traditional features of the union between a man and a woman? Is marriage even a union between a man and a woman? I mean, am I a bigot who hates homosexuals and discriminate against them if I say society shouldn't recognize the love and bond two gay couples share? This line of questioning was probably not what my hero and favorite Daily Wire host Matt Walsh was expecting when he went to Joe Rogan's podcast recently. But he found himself debating this topic for over an hour. And I really encourage everyone to watch the full episode. It's 3 hours, it's a 3 hours long conversation, and it is very impactful. And if you're into long form content, then you should definitely check it out. But I'm going to show you a clip. I think this clip captures the essence of the debate, the position Joe Rogan held, and the view Matt Walsh tried to articulate. I want you to take a look.
It's not about choice. It's about what this institution, marriage is an institution, and what is it, and what purpose does it serve? And I do not agree with tearing down or changing this definition, especially because the people who have changed the definition haven't come up with a new one. So they say, well, that's not what marriage is. So for thousands of years, we said marriage is the procreative union. And then we had the other side who came along and said, well, it's not that. Okay, well then, what is it exactly? And I know you said, well, it's people who love each other. Two people love each other. Well, but then why two people? Why do they have to love each other? All these kinds of questions. You get into what if they're in the same family? What if brothers and sisters want to marry? And I know every time that comes up, the advocates for gay marriage will say, well, that's a slippery slope argument. That's a fallacious. But it's actually not. It's like we're trying to get to what do you even think this institution is now, since you've rejected out what we were saying it was. And I've never found a compelling definition. And any definition offered, it's like, well, what's even the point then? Why do we even need this now?
So essentially, Joe Rogan believes marriage has no meaning other than what the people involved ascribe to it, right? And Matt Walsh believes there's an objective meaning of marriage that society should try to uphold and protect, right? Now many people have criticized Matt Walsh's argument as they are allowed to. I mean, his views are mostly ideological, even though I believe with time, society will reap the effect of the destruction of this sacred institution. And when that day come, and when those days come, when they do, we will have enough empirical data to support ancient wisdom. But until then, I guess all we have is just religion, common sense, emotional argument, and Joe Rogan's podcast. But here's what I think. I think the West have become a gravesite for tradition. For the most part, it is just a place where tradition goes to die. A brutal death, and is buried in a shallow grave. And second, I believe tradition is important. It is important because it holds an ancient, long-lasting understanding of the world handed over to us by our ancestors. Now, not all forms of tradition should continue, right? Nor should we hold a blind allegiance to it. But we should not just discard it simply because we don't like it, or it makes us uncomfortable, or makes us feel a particular kind of way. That is not enough reason. You have to make a strong case for why we should disregard or discard long-standing precedents. That has always been the rule as long as I can remember. And one reason for the rapid decline of traditional marriage in America precisely is because, or as far as I can see in America, probably applicable in other parts of the West, right? But one of the reason for this rapid decline became evident to me as I listened to the conversation between Matt and Rogan. And I believe the reason is this: America has forgotten or completely ignored the purpose of traditional marriage. Marriage as an institution now has no meaning. And for many, it has never had any meaning. It is just a meaningless piece of paper that gets the state involved in your personal life. Why should the state even concern itself with marriage? I mean, leave it up to each individual to define marriage as they please. What is marriage and why should society care about it? And for me, the answer is quite simple. Maybe for my Nigerian brain, the answer is just simple. There will be no society without marriage. A family won't exist if people don't get married. And a society won't exist if people don't have families. If we don't have families in society, there will be no society. And if people don't get married, there will be no family. At least not a sustainable one. Society depends on marriage. Marriage holds the future of the society. So we as a society have a vested interest in it, which we should try to protect with laws and privileges. And yes, people can abuse these rights and privileges by not raising children. I mean, people can decide we are going to get married and we are not going to have kids. Or they may have biological issues that makes it unable for them to procreate. People can do so many things within that institution. But we understand by its nature that this institution is meant from its nature to procreate and to propagate society. Right? And that is why it is important. All these exceptions and all this abuse doesn't change the underlying principle and nature of marriage. The same way a trans man or a woman who can't have children doesn't change the biological definition of a woman. By definition, a woman is somebody who is capable of getting pregnant, even though she changes she goes through hormone therapy and surgery. It doesn't change that fact. It doesn't change that nature of hers. The same way with marriage, we can tweak it, we can distort it, we can do whatever we want to do to it, but it doesn't change the underlying fact of what it is exactly by nature. And I think it is best for us as a society to protect that nature. And for me, gay marriage doesn't have this inherent quality. It can't procreate and doesn't offer the best environment for raising a child. A child needs a father and a mother, not a father and a father or a mother and a mother. And even naturally, that combination cannot procreate. So I don't see the reason why society should have interest in it or should place it on the same pedestal and definition as actual marriage in its true sense. And you are free to disagree. Like, listen, as you're listening to me, you are free to disagree with this position. And I'm not saying this to hurt people's feelings or because I hate people and I don't hate gay people, right? And I don't want them to be happy and fulfilled. No, I really want them to live a very happy and fulfilling life. I really have compassion for gay people. I know at least one. I'm in Nigeria. It's not easy to find them. So for me to know one and and that person is open enough to come out to me and be like, listen, this is my sexual orientation. It's a huge deal, right? And I'm not judgmental towards that person. I try to be understanding. You know, for somebody coming from my part of the world, it's not really something that we are open to except when we see it on the internet, right? Or where you get to know people personally and you really get into that space and really get to know people. But notwithstanding, I'm just saying there's a level of superiority in romantic relationships, right? And society should uphold the most superior because it has an inherent purpose that extends beyond the individuals involved and affects society at large. Marriage is not all about love and personal happiness. The institution does not exist solely to validate your feelings and serve your personal satisfaction. There is a crucial social utility element to marriage, and that is why we should celebrate, recognize, uphold, and protect it. Otherwise, there is no point in it. I mean, that is why I celebrate marriage. In Nigeria, that's why we celebrate marriage. Here, people don't really care how the bride or the groom feel about each other. For us, it really, if you observe the way Africans look at marriage, it really has nothing to do with love. And I think that is the way prehistorically it has been, or throughout history. It has always been more about the procreation, the ability to procreate. That's what it has always been about. It has never really been, oh, I'm happy they found love. It's like, oh, I'm happy these people get to contribute to society, to the future of society. Right? The marriage of a man and a woman by nature is a great service to the community. I'm from the stock that believe that you don't just marry who you love. You love who you marry. And why? Because you have kids to raise, a family to build, and a society to impact. And if you don't want something of this nature, it's fine. If you feel this does not align with your preference, it's fine. It's totally fine. I'm okay with it. But you should not want to be included in an institution that was not made for you, or does not have it's like the way Matt Walsh put it is, it's like a lady trying to use a male's bathroom. Maybe it makes you feel safe. It affirms your identity. Whatever it is, it does for you. Yes, I recognize that. But this bathroom was not made for you. That is how marriage is. I understand that it may make you feel a certain type of way, but this was not made for you. And I don't think society should act like any alternative to traditional value of features of marriage. Anything other than that is the same as a permanent monogamous union between a man and a woman. I don't think anything other than this should have the same, should be called the same thing. Doing so diminishes marriage and makes it no different from any other romantic relationship. And if you think there is no difference, then what is the point in marriage? What then is marriage? Why should this social concept exist at all? And why should there be laws to protect it? And if there are no social values that it serves and no social purpose for marriage, then why should society even care about it? Why should we even poke our nose in it? Why should there be laws to protect it? For me, the only logical alternative is for marriage to exist outside the realm of law and politics. And that means that society gets to ignore and disregard the very foundation of its existence. And I don't think that is a good idea. Okay guys, we've come to the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much. Please like this video, share this video, subscribe to this channel and ring that notification bell. And let me know in the comment section what you think about marriage. Should it be defined based on its utility, or should it be defined based on how an individual feels about the institution? Let me know in the comments. And until the next video, peace.